Presidential candidates Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are beating out other candidates as Super Tuesday results come in.
USC students face technical difficulties as they try to head to the polls this Super Tuesday.
And a deadly tornado takes 25 lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Polls have closed and results are coming in for this Super Tuesday election. Good evening, I'm Nathan Hyun.
And I'm Genevieve Glass. Here in California, the polls are open until 8 o'clock.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is hosting a Super Tuesday gathering at Baldwin Hills tonight with supporters including Mayor Garcetti. Our reporter Trevor Sahaki is at the scene.
Thanks, Genevieve and Nathan. Now I'm live here in Baldwin Hills, where just behind me on that stage, the former Vice President Joe Biden will be speaking in a couple hours. I know it's hard to hear me, and that's because there's so much prep going on right now. Lots of media here, line out the door. I talked to some of the voters in that line, actually, and they said that they can't wait for Joe to show up tonight. They're looking for him to speak about electability and about his thoughts on Medicare. Now, it's already been a tough primary race. Joe has won 3 states tonight, and they are excited for more. Live from Baldwin Hills, I'm Trevor Sahaki reporting for Annenberg Media. Back to you.
Thanks, Trevor. Democratic presidential hopefuls will need nearly 2,000 delegates in order to clinch the nomination. Until tonight, just 155 have been awarded. Over a third of the delegates are at stake tonight, and in most states, polls have already closed. Here's what we know so far. In Alabama, Joe Biden is the winner. Here are the numbers. Biden at 41.2%, Biden at 35.2%, Sanders at 23.5%, Bloomberg at 15.5%, and Warren at 11.1%.
Yeah, and that was in North Carolina, Genevieve, with 2% reporting, but yes.
Yes, excuse me for that, technical error.
So yes, we go to Virginia now with 4% of precincts reporting. Biden with 88% of precincts reporting, with Biden in the lead at 54.4%, Sanders behind him at 23%, Warren at 10.3%, and Bloomberg at 9.3%. Senator Bernie Sanders took his home state with 1% of the vote, with 29% of precincts reporting in Vermont. Biden behind him at 21.9%, Warren at 12.1%, and Bloomberg at 9.3%.
And in Maine, here are the numbers with 1% of precincts reporting. Sanders is currently in the lead at 54.1%, Warren behind him at 16.2%, Biden close behind her at 13.5%, and Klobuchar at 8.1%. And in Massachusetts, Senator Warren's home state with 1% of precincts reporting, Biden is in the lead at 34.2%, Sanders behind him at 25.9%, Warren close behind Sanders at 21.6%, and Bloomberg at 12.6%.
When we go to Tennessee, where voting hours were extended because of today's deadly tornado. With 1% of precincts reporting, Biden has just a close lead at 25.9% ahead of Sanders at 24.3%, Bloomberg close behind at 23.1%, and Warren at 8.8%. So we'll continue to bring the latest results throughout this newscast. Hundreds of USC students also voted today. We spoke to a few of them about why they think it is so important to go to the polls this Super Tuesday.
I think it's incredibly important young people vote. I think historically young people feel that the issues they care about aren't on the minds of politicians or aren't on the minds of the people making the decisions. But I think when we come out to the polling places, we prove that that's not true, that the things that we care about and that we think are right are important, and that someone will listen if we tell them how we feel and what we want. Individual powers combined into a big collective power are what make change. So you may not feel like you're a big part of it, but even the one individual adds to a bigger collective. So I think everyone's vote is really important.
But with long lines of voters also comes technical issues. Several USC voters reported long lines, broken machines, and delays in voting at the performance space turned voting booth.
The issue is they had problems with some of the registration system. It was taking a really long time, and apparently there's like 15 million people trying to vote today, so their system was going really slow. But I waited for like 2 hours. So that was a long time. Once you got into the building itself, it was a really fast process.
They just said there's just a really long line of people, and they're trying to redirect people to other polling places. I know there's one around 15 minutes off that way that they're trying to get everyone to move over there. With the way my schedule is, I have an hour and a half, and that's not enough time to go in there and wait in line and vote.
Ever since Joe Biden won big in South Carolina on Saturday, he's been getting a lot of support from moderate Democrats.
Political correspondent Evan Falstrup has the latest. Evan?
Thanks, Genevieve. Going into today's 14-state primary, Bernie Sanders, the Democratic Socialist, was ahead. But Sanders says moderate Democrats are banding together to try and stop his momentum. And Donald Trump agrees.
Well, I think there's no question the establishment, the Democrat establishment, is trying to take it away from Bernie Sanders. There's no question about that in my mind.
Pete Buttigieg and Senator Amy Klobuchar endorsed Biden soon after they ended their campaigns. But Sanders supporters say he is the voice of change that our country needs today.
He's the only candidate that goes far enough that can really make real change in this country. Too many campaigns in the past have left out large groups of people.
If we want to win against Donald Trump, which I think is a priority, we should be fighting for the person who has the most individual donations, who has the young people with them, who has people of color with them, who has the gay community, who has these marginalized individuals, and they're all fighting against Bernie.
Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg is one moderate who so far has not joined the Biden bandwagon. He's waiting to see how many delegates he gets with this $500 million investment. Back to you.
And Republican and Democratic organizations on campus have starkly opposing views on the remaining primary candidates. Some conservative students don't believe that the progressive candidates stand a chance.
I think at this point it's kind of a general consensus that Trump would beat Bernie. I don't think Bernie really stands a chance against Trump, although I do find it kind of concerning that one of our two major political parties would be nominating a socialist. But I think Trump would have the best time beating Bernie. So that's who I would be leaning towards. I think Trump will win the general election again, unless some dark horse comes out of nowhere that's super popular. As far as the Democrat primary, I think it will probably go to Joe Biden, just because if it comes down to an open or contested convention, I think Bernie's going to get screwed again.
Even among Democrats, the split between the progressive Sanders and the more moderate Biden supporters remains a divisive issue.
A lot of the moderates and more of the party leaders are afraid of a rise of a Bernie Sanders campaign. So I think they're much more organized and much more, I would say, sophisticated in terms of going about how they align themselves so that the moderate candidate Biden receive more of the vote. The results of today will be very telling about whether there is a progressive, consolidation versus there's already a moderate consolidation.
We'll be going live again tonight at 7:30 to bring you more analysis and coverage on the primaries and what they mean for the Democratic nomination.
The coronavirus has spread to over 8,000 people outside of China. USC is continuing to take extra precautions. Students received an email encouraging them not to travel abroad over spring break. There are now 13 states with confirmed cases of COVID-19. California has the most cases in the U.S. with nearly half of the nationwide total at 45. USC is telling students that those who travel internationally will be subject to health screenings when they return to campus.
We assembled what we call our Emergency Operations Center, or EOC for short. That consists of representatives from critical response departments on campus that would support the planning and response to this situation. We've been monitoring this situation ever since. We've been planning and watching what's going on in other countries. We've been watching more recently what's going on here in the United States. And each and every day, this group meets on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times per day, to look at the current situation.
Other universities in the state have made contingency plans to combat a potential outbreak. The University of California System's coronavirus guide, for example, is 19 pages long.
And as coronavirus continues to spread, there's growing concerns about health risks at large events. Over 35,000 people have signed a Change.org petition to cancel the popular festival South by Southwest. A spokesperson with South by Southwest confirmed that the event is still scheduled to begin next week, emphasizing that the health and safety of their attendees is their top priority. Last year, the Interactive Festival drew over 230,000 film and music lovers to Austin, Texas. While the event is still on, a number of companies have already withdrawn from the event, including Facebook, Twitter, and Intel. South by Southwest officials say they are following recommendations from the Austin Public Health Department and will continue to provide updates as they monitor the situation. And a tornado ripped through Nashville, Tennessee overnight, killing at least 25 people. Annenberg Media's Spencer Petty talked with students at 2 colleges in the area.
There it is! Go! Inside! Now!
An early morning tornado tore through Tennessee, taking lives and shredding more than 140 buildings.
So we're running down the hallway, the ceiling is just caving in, just debris everywhere.
The warnings began about an hour before the tornado hit, but some wrote it off as just another tornado watch that wouldn't affect them. Seniors at Lipscomb and Belmont universities shared their experiences.
I guess I just didn't really take it seriously because the tornado sirens have gone off, I don't know, maybe 5 times since I moved here. This huge tree fell and was like just touching my house. So if it was like a couple inches closer, it would have fallen on where my landlord was.
Not a lot of warning. Like, literally, it was so calm. Nothing was happening. There was no rain. It was like eerie warm outside.
Lipscomb sent out an email to their community offering emotional support.
When I walked on campus, like, people were sobbing. A lot of people at Lipscomb have been affected by this, and we need to be praying for the family. So we had like a prayer day at chapel today.
The storm closed Nashville Metro schools for the day and delayed Super Tuesday voting, with polling stations opening an hour late and closing 6 stations altogether, according to a statement from the Metro government of Nashville and Davidson County. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee declared a state of emergency, and President Trump announced he will visit the affected areas on Friday. For Annenberg TV News, I'm Spencer Petty.
We'll have an update on the Super Tuesday races ahead.
And getting to the polls was easier today, thanks to LA Metro for making public transit free.
And UCLA students staged their own campaign to get out the vote. We'll be right back.
Free your mind and the rest will follow. Be colorblind, don't be so shallow. Speak your mind and change will follow. Now's the time, make your tomorrow.
It's your right to vote. Please don't let it slip away. Don't let the few rule the many.
Rock the vote. Rock the vote.
Yo, what's up? It's real popular in rap music right now to diss the establishment or complain about the establishment's faults. I wanna get whipped out. What needs to be popular is getting y'all out there to vote, you know what I'm saying? And take your picture. I'm here to tell y'all if you're 18 or older and you're an American citizen, you got the right to vote. I seen her dancing. You got any complaints, you take it out on them. Peace. Baby got ballet days with the open
They're doing the best they can. The best they can, right? They're doing the best they can. Those guys in Washington wouldn't be there if they didn't know what they were doing. You're one person, right? When you think about it, it doesn't make one difference. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make one difference. It doesn't make a difference either way, one way or the other, if you vote or not. It's all in the way you look at it. We're just kids, right? Turn up the music. Turn up. How weird do things have to get before you register and vote? Turn up the music.
USC isn't the only school encouraging students to make their voices heard. Over in Westwood, UCLA and the nonprofit advocacy group CalBERG talked to students about voting. In 2016, USC and UCLA held a competition to see which school registered the most voters. Unfortunately, USC lost as UCLA registered over 10,000 students to vote. On the UCLA campus, CalBERG helped people register before the deadline. Today, they also helped people vote through same-day registration. The line at the UCLA Voting Center was over 2 hours long.
We ran a huge voter registration push leading up to the deadline to register to vote in the primary, where here at UCLA, our Bruins Vote Coalition that we work with helped register 1,600 students to vote before the deadline to vote in the primaries. And actually, across the state, CalBERG students registered over 4,000 students to.
Students and staff alike are being encouraged to vote at one of the 3 polling places near UCLA. And after they vote, there's a waiting party for them right outside the campus voting center. So we've been inside most of the day, but I've been peering outside the window. The weather looked quite nice. Have you been outside today?
Yeah, it really did look really nice. If it wasn't Super Tuesday, I might have gone out there to have some, get the sun. But Chris, can you tell us a little more?
Well, lucky for all those voters out there waiting in line outside Ground Zero, it was a pretty beautiful day today. Let's take a look at these current conditions right now. As you can see, it's about 73 degrees outside. Just right now, the sun going down. Going to be around 30% humidity for the rest of the week. And now let's move on to our forecast for tomorrow. Let's take a look at that Inland Empire. And over in Palm Springs, 81 degrees, Big Bear 56, a little chilly up there, but definitely not going to be seeing any snow. If we move on into the Inland Empire, high 70s across the board in Riverside and San Bernardino. And we're going to see a little bit more of the same in the valley, but first let's take it over to the coast with Malibu. Should be about 65 degrees. Thousand Oaks is a little bit chillier than the most of the valley, with 74, but over in the big part of the valley, 77 in both San Fernando and Northridge. Let's move over to the LA Basin. And now over in East LA, you're going to see kind of the similar temperatures that you see in the valley. We're going to see mid 70s across the board. By the coast, a little bit lower, 71, 67 at Long Beach, but at USC, it's going to be a nice and beautiful 75 degrees. Let's move on to our 5-day forecast. And now, as you can see, it's mid 70s for the rest of the week pretty much. It's going to get a little bit cloudy, mid 50s in the nights there. But then as we move on into the weekend, we're going to see those mid 60s, and we might even see a little bit of rain on Sunday. And now there's only one statewide proposition on the ballot today, and that's Prop 13. Prop 13 would authorize up to $15 billion in new bonds for California public schools. $6 billion of that would go to higher education and $9 billion to K-12 schools. More of that $9 billion would go to renovations than it would go to new construction. And the bonds would allocate funds on a sliding scale to make low-income school districts a top priority. Opponents say Prop 13 would allow districts to propose larger bond measures on their own, and that would be a problem. And it would also strain the state general fund. Those in favor say it would help modernize California's already underfunded school system, and that it's important to target those low-income districts. And now, the last attempt to authorize bonds for the public schools was in 2016. That was Prop 51. Back then, the $9 billion proposition passed with 55% of the vote. And so we'll see how that one goes today when the polls close in California.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, even though it's the only one, it's definitely an important proposition.
Definitely. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
So Los Angelenos couldn't use lack of transportation as an excuse for not voting today. LA Metro is offering free rides until midnight on all Metro bus and rail lines to help people get to the polls this Super Tuesday. Tufts University found that in the 2016 election, approximately 15 million voters didn't vote because they lacked a way to get there. If traveling by car is more your speed, Lyft is also offering free or reduced fares to polling places.
That's great. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's vote for free, I guess. So Sylvie, Annenberg Media reports it came back from the combine, and now there's some new coaches in town for USC?
Yeah, USC's new coaches spoke to the media for the first time today, but there was one notable absence, and we'll tell you who that is. Plus, we'll tell you how the coaches can turn around USC's defense. And USC's Alyssa Peely is making headlines yet again. We'll tell you why. All of this and more coming up in sports.
Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Recently, the western U.S. has averaged more than 1,900 earthquakes and 3,800 significant wildfires each year. So chances are there will be more of both near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Spring football is right around the corner, and USC has 6 new coaches joining the team for the 2020 season. The coaches spoke to the media for the first time today. Arguably, the most important new addition is defensive coordinator Todd Orlando. Here's what he had to say about getting physical in practice.
You have to train that way. That's part of the toll. You know, you'd rather find out on Saturday than find out versus Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So it's we're going to practice physical. I can promise you that.
Todd Orlando wants to work his magic on the practice field, and new cornerbacks coach Dante Williams wants to bring an inferno to the recruiting trail. But unlike me after graduation, he's not going to just coast off of USC's brand.
You know, if you all of a sudden think that just because we're USC or just because it's logo, someone's going to come here, you're wrong. Like I said, we're going to out-recruit other people.
New defensive line coach Vic So'oto is building a relationship with his defensive line. He joked with the media about how that's going so far.
Defensive line are my guys, and I told my wife they're going to hit me before they like me. And right now we're kind of going through that whole process, but we're excited.
So lots of exciting thoughts from the new coaches. Trevor, what's your biggest takeaway from today?
I think just the energy and excitement that these guys bring really gets me excited. I'm feeding off of these guys' energy. They're all young. They're all kind of in the 30 to 40 age range. They can relate to current players and future recruits. And I really like how Todd Orlando's talking about bringing physicality back to this team, especially in practice. But one other takeaway, where was Clay Helton during all this? Not the best look, trying to rebrand for a 2020 season. He was nowhere to be found at this press conference.
I know. Well, it sounds like USC's next season is looking up with the new hires. So Trevor, what do these new hires need to do for USC exactly?
Absolutely, I can tell you that. It's the first Trevor's tape of 2020, so now I'm going to break down how this new coaching staff can change USC's defense. First, let's look at a play from the Notre Dame game. It's a simple quarterback running back option, but the defensive end cheats inside, and that allows the quarterback to pitch the ball. He runs right through the safety for a massive 43-yard gain. Now look at this play again, and just look at how much open space there is on the edge. Look at defensive end Drake Jackson, number 99. He's chasing after the ball instead of staying in front of the play and containing the edge. So Sylvie, undisciplined plays like these have become kind of USC's signature over the past 3 or 4 years, unfortunately, and it all culminated in Iowa dropping 49 points on USC in the Holiday Bowl. That really prompted them to make this big defensive change.
Yeah, we don't love that. So what can Todd Orlando do to fix these?
I'm glad you asked, Sylvie. Now, Todd Orlando, he was the defensive coordinator at Texas in 2018 when they played USC. So let's take a look at a play from that game. It's a very similar type of outside run. Stephen Carr takes the ball, but look at number 90. He doesn't try to play hero ball. He's not trying to make a tackle. Instead, he sets the edge until there's nowhere for Carr to go, and then his teammates come in and clean up the play and make the play. And this is really what Todd Orlando brings to USC. Now, he's not going to get tricky. He's not going to dial up a bunch of blitz packages. He just wants his guys to play sound, fundamental football. But right now, talk is cheap. The real fun begins March 10th when USC begins spring practice. We're very excited for that. Yes. We're going to have full coverage of all of those sessions along with the spring showcase on April 11th. That'll be a fully simulated game environment in the Coliseum. But for now, before we get all to that, what's going on in USC women's basketball?
Well, Trevor, Alyssa Peely is making headlines yet again. The women's basketball star has been named the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. Are we surprised?
Not at all.
Before being named the Conference Freshman of the Year, Peely was a 4-time Pac-12 Freshman of the Week, a first for the Trojans. The superstar was also named to the All Pac-12 team, another first for USC, putting her among the top 15 players in arguably the most competitive conference in women's basketball. Peely is 8th in the conference with 16.2 points per game and 5th in the conference with 8.1 rebounds per game. She's also 4th in the conference in double-doubles with 11 to date, and only 4 other Trojans have been named Conference Freshman of the Year, the last being in 2009. USC now has the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year in both football and women's basketball, and possibly men's basketball with Onyeka Okongwu. Peely and the Trojans are headed to Las Vegas this week for the Pac-12 tournament. The number 7 seeded Trojans open up against number 10 Colorado on Thursday to fight for a quarterfinal spot against UCLA. That's all we have for sports. Back to you at the desk.
After the break, we'll have updated results on the Super Tuesday elections. Stay right with us.
Leaving hot coals source improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back. Our reporter Trevor Sahaki is live right now at Joe Biden's Baldwin Hills gathering. Trevor, what can you tell us?
Hi Genevieve and Nathan, I am live here in Baldwin Hills where just behind me the former Vice President Joe Biden is scheduled to speak tonight. Now this crowd here is wild. It's still growing and I don't know if you can see, I'm going to show you one more time right behind me. Still growing, still people coming in and the people here are very excited. I spoke to some people. I spoke to one person who was setting up the event. He said he's been here for 17 years and has never seen this many people on this basketball court where we are right now. Now Joe, he's got some states so far. It's still a long way to go for the nomination, but from this crowd right here, they seem very fired up and they're very excited about his electability and his opinions and thoughts on Medicare, Medicaid, and all of that. Now we're gonna have a lot more for you tonight. We have a special Super Tuesday show coming up later. I'll be there as well, along with Nathan. Hope to see you soon. Live from Baldwin Hills, I'm Trevor Sahaki reporting for Annenberg Media. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Trevor. So we have more on our top story as more primary results trickle in. Here's the latest.
In Texas, Bernie Sanders is leading at 28.8%. Biden behind him at 22.3%, Bloomberg at 18.6%, and Warren at 13.9%.
And we move to North Carolina, where 16% of precincts have been reporting. Biden is leading with 33%, Sanders behind him at 23.4%, Bloomberg at 17.1%, and Warren at 11%.
And in Virginia, with nearly 100% of precincts reporting, we have Biden at 53.8%, Sanders at 23.1%, Warren behind him at 10.6%, and Bloomberg at 9.5%. For more coverage on tonight's elections, follow us on Twitter at USC Annenberg Media and watch us on YouTube at 7:30 for more coverage.
Yeah, guys, I'm really excited for tonight's show. You can already see the media center getting packed. Everyone's getting ready.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great one.
Yeah,
Look forward to seeing you on there.
Thanks. And hope to see you guys on there too. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Nathan Hyun.
And I'm Genevieve Glass. For more coverage, download Annie, the Annenberg app, and watch us at uscannenbergmedia.com. Have a great night.
Good night.